mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá jákèjádò àgbáláyé ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi bó ṣe ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ náà la tún mú wá fún yín o lórí ọ̀rọ̀ brọ́dà wa Dele Farotimi so fún díẹ̀ yìí ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ wo bí tí ọ̀rọ̀ dé dúró ẹ farabalẹ̀ ẹ bá mi wo fídíò yìí.
Another story. While more reactions have trailed the arrest of human rights advocate Dele Farotimi. On Wednesday, the Ekiti State Magistrate Court in Ado-Ekiti remanded the activist over alleged defamation. He was arraigned on a 16-count charge by the police. The police accused the activist of criminally defaming Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, in a book titled Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. The activist pled not guilty to all the charges, but was remanded in prison custody till December 10th. Well, prior to his arrest, Dele Farotimi spoke to journalists on December 2nd. Well, let's take a quick listen to what he said before we take some reactions.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the press. This is my first rodeo. I've never had to ask to speak to you like this, especially at such close quarters. The last time I requested to speak with the press, it was in 2021, when I had credible information that there was an active murder plot against me. I spoke at the time only after I had submitted petitions to the Nigerian police under the leadership of Akim Odumosu. As the police commissioner at the time, my petition was specifically addressed to his office. He is today of the Lagos State Park Services. At the time, I mentioned 3 names with specificity. Included amongst the 3 at the time is a traditional ruler in Lagos State. I did not go to social media to mention any names because my intention was not to scandalize, but to seek the due protection of the law. I equally copied this letter to the Director of State Security Services in Lagos State. These petitions were duly received, but neither were acted upon. That was in 2021. I trusted to God for my safety, and unlike many others, I refused to flee Nigeria, even in spite of the knowledge of the fact that people in very high offices were after my life. I did not go to social media. I wrote due petitions to state security services and to the Nigerian police. Duly received, names specifically mentioned, nothing was done. There were 6 persons in that meeting. I mentioned only 3 names. Now, fast forward. On the 11th of November, we received, a letter was received in my former office, my law practice, where the office I've left now, inviting me to Zone 2, Onikon. That's the Lagos and the Nigerian Police Command Zone 2 at Onikon. A letter signed by DCP, I believe Nwoga or something. The DCP signed the letter. And they were said to be on a dispute resolution or something along the line, and my attention was required. I received that letter on Monday the 11th, right? Yes, Monday the 11th. And I was required to come on Wednesday the 13th. I had a medical appointment that morning, a very urgent one. I shelved it. I attended Zone 2. They asked me to be there by 10 o'clock. I was there. I was there by 9:45. On getting there, I was presented with a petition written by a lawyer purporting to act for no less a person than the very best friend of our president in the Nigerian branch, Mr. Tony Elumelu, alleging that I had defamed him and cyber-stalked him. I struggled to maintain my composure because I was exceedingly provoked by the frivolity of the stupid, very stupid, self-indulgent petition. But I answered it because I was asked to write a statement. And I wrote my statement, owning each and every word that he alleged that I said in defamation of him. The IPO then took my statement and the file to see the DCP, who had signed my letter of invitation, and I was asked in. I'm giving you this background because they are all germane. Yeah. The gentleman, I believe DCP Nwoga, then said I should be given bail and I should go. And whenever they needed me, they would send for me. And I felt that this was classic police harassment. So I told the gentleman, I have written a statement in response to a clear allegation. There are no ambiguities. I have not denied what he claimed that I said. But I am saying that there is absolutely no crime. There is absolutely no crime to be found in what I have said. And what did I say? Somebody asked me on Twitter. Somebody tagged me and asked a question. The person asked if I thought Mr. Tony Elumelu might, in 2027, support a person like Peter Obi to become the president of Nigeria, just as Elon Musk had done similarly in America. And I answered, how can you possibly be asking that of Tony Elumelu? Tony Elumelu is a member of the Nigerian ruling class. A veritable member, a beneficiary of the system. Why would he fight against the system? I think then I translated the Yoruba proverb, I said he's an impoverished rich man. That was the extent of everything I said. At best, you call that vulgar abuse. So I was actually quite irritated that a man has... I expect that someone like Tony Elumelu should be too busy to be nitpicking about what opinion anybody might have to say, whatever anybody might have to say about him. Least of all, someone like me, tiny me, who am I that I am of interest or that he cares about what I have to say? I'm admittedly a madman. I told all of you severally. So I didn't think I should be of interest to Tony Elumelu. So I was irritated, and I made my irritation clear. And I told the gentleman, DCP Nwuga, if you have a charge for me, keep me in your cell. Today is Wednesday. At the latest, by Monday, you should be done drafting your charges. So keep me in your cell. When it is Monday, you would have been done with filing your charge. You can then take me to court. They didn't build your cell for goats. The people are in there, they are no animals. Me, I'm not taking bail. At this point, he went up to what I now later realized was the AIG's office. Long story cut short, after some back and forth, the AIG asked us to come in because Nwoga was in, we were outside. I was out. Nwoga. You pardon me, I don't know how to pronounce this, everything. So we were outside and we were eventually asked to come in. And it was at that point that I recognized that lawyer. The lawyer who wrote the petition had been hanging around whilst my statement was being taken, whilst I was in the DCP's office. I didn't know who he was, but now he was in the AIG's office. And the AIG asked him, do you have the authority of Mr. Elumelu to write this petition? He said, yes, he did. So the AIG said, well, you would have to tell your client to write us himself, under his own hand, to ask for Mr. Farotimi's prosecution. I was incensed that he would be asking that. But I could also recognize the delicacy of his position. Here is the very best friend of Mr. President who just went to France with him, demanding the prosecution of an irritant like me. Who was I? But the AIG used his discretion, and me, I'm a Yoruba boy. When somebody has tried to diffuse a situation, I accepted the way he diffused the situation. So, he asked us to go. He told the man who had been talking bail that Mr. Farotimi is not unknown to you. When you asked him to come, he came at your invitation. I'm sure if you need him again, you can always ask him to come. You will soon understand the importance of this background. Just bear with me. So, when we got back downstairs, DCP turned to me and said, come back next week, Thursday. I had things already scheduled for that day. I did not argue. I became aware that some men purporting to be policemen from the Ekiti State Police Command were in Lagos on a mission to abduct me. I believe the Ekiti State Police Command is under the Zone 2 at Onikon. I was at Onikon repeatedly, and nobody was aware of any form of interest in me by the Ekiti State Police Command, or any police formation for that matter. So at this point, knowing and being very familiar with the evil forest that we call Nigeria, because that is what we have built. So living in this evil forest, it became particularly clear that I must be very careful with my movement because there were kidnappers on the prowl, or perhaps hired killers, because this could definitely not have been policemen. I wasn't missing, I wasn't lost, my whereabouts was not unknown. But these persons were intent on abducting me. Knowing all of this, I was forced to avoid publicizing the funeral services of my father-in-law, which took place in Ibadan last week, I had to be moving around like a prey, being hunted by persons who are meant to be paid by my taxes for my protection. Things got to a head on Friday afternoon when one of my domestic staff was about to be abducted in this same attempt at getting me. He was told that he had a parcel. But I had already raised the threat level in my household and everywhere around me. And the young man was conscious enough to avoid being abducted. But these persons abducted a security staff of a company in which my wife has interests. And we had to strive to have this person bailed by that evening. Now, this was where it began to get interesting, because now I had to try and find out exactly what was going on. And I thank God for grace, because we must all become very clearly aware that there are times when you will be waiting to find angels with wings, but the angels that will be sent to you might not come with wings. But there have been men and women who stepped up to the plate in the last couple of days with information, and information is power. It came to my knowledge that there is a charge that had been fraudulently preferred against me before a court in Ekiti State at the instance of Chief Babalola. This charge had been fraudulently preferred, hidden from view, and the court had purportedly demanded my presence multiple times, and I had failed to appear before this court. And this court had then proceeded to issue a bench warrant for my arrest. This is classic Afe Babalola. I detailed his corruptive influence in my book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. And what he has done is exactly what he has always done in hiding, but he has done it this time again. And the calculations were that I would have been picked up, taken before this judge, who must have either been compromised or misled in Ekiti. And I would have been remanded in prison custody for being somebody who was meant to face trial and who had refused to bring himself to court. I am reliably informed that social media influencers had been paid to spin these narratives after my arrest. Human rights activists have been positioned to start speaking after my arrest, including one Adaya. High offices in this country have been compromised in pursuit of my persons. High offices, from the Inspector General's office, because the police have been subverted. The Attorney General of the Federation needs to examine himself, because his office has been somehow linked to this as well. I do not know if the presidency is directly involved in this, and I will not make frivolous charges. But high offices have been subverted in pursuit of a criminal purpose. I have committed no crime, done nothing wrong. If I have committed any wrong for which the state requires my attendance in a court or at a police station, they know exactly where I live. I will live only once, but I will not live cowering to any man. Let us be clear. If and when I have a charge to answer before a court, you all know where I live. I'm not hiding, and I'm not running away from anybody. Let us be very clear about that. I will never run away from Nigeria. We all have to pretend that we are in a democracy, and we have to pretend that we are citizens, and we have to pretend that we are a country ruled by law. And by all means, you will pretend that we are. I have done nothing. And if I have a charge that should be preferred against me, bring it on. I'm happy to come to court to have my day. If there is a crime, there must be justice, not only for the person who is aggrieved. There must be justice for the accused. And there must also be justice for the system. This is not how to build a rule-based system, where the system itself becomes so criminal that policemen were engaged in criminality. I was at Zone 2 twice. But this, they never reported in any police station in Lagos. Never. This was a rogue operation designed to achieve a criminal purpose. Gentlemen of the press, I am a Nigerian, whats and all. I'm not different from any one of you, but I desire a better Nigeria. And in my desire for a better Nigeria, the only weapon I have employed, whilst others have picked up guns, whilst they've picked up lies, blackmail, the only weapon I have ever used is the truth. It is sufficient both as a weapon and as a defense. If you are not happy with anything I have said, whether it is the one that is busy complaining that I say that he's an impoverished rich man, or the one that is angry that I told the truth of his corruption of the society, or any one of them that are angry about what I have done, the only thing that binds all of us, and by which we are bound, is fidelity to the truth. If I have done anything wrong, drag me to court. Stop all this underhand surreptitious move. And let me be very clear. A petition is on its way to the National Judicial Commission. Let it find out exactly who this judge is. I will not dignify this fraud. I will not dignify it. I have already filed a fundamental human rights enforcement suit against all the parties. And I will submit all the necessary petitions both to the Police Service Commission and to the Judicial Service Commission. This is fraudulent and is fraud in the face of the entire nation. Thank you very much.
All right, Rufai, he clearly had information right before he was picked up. And everything he said followed exactly how it happened. I mean, this country. But let me take some reactions that have also trailed his imprisonment at this moment, because you know that he's been denied bail. Let's take this one from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who has called for the release of Dele Farotimi. While reacting in a post on X, Atiku said Farotimi's arrest serves as a grim reminder of the dark days of military dictatorship, when the iron fist of tyranny sought to crush all dissent. Well, he went further to state, I am made aware that Dele is being accused of defamation, an offense that under normal circumstances should not warrant the involvement of law enforcement. The police's intervention in such matters is nothing less than the use of a sledgehammer to swat a fly, an overreach of unimaginable proportions. But we know also that, Omoyele Sowore has been on this case. Yes. Yesterday, he put out a tweet about a nationwide global protest against the Nigerian judiciary using the hashtags Free Dele Farotimi, hashtag Press Freedom, hashtag Replace Cybercrime Act. Nigerians refuse to be silenced. And he's calling Nigerians come out December 10th, I believe. Also, the locations are in Lagos and the Afe Babalola Chambers, Abuja Federal Ministry of Justice, Ekiti, Police Headquarters, Ado Ekiti, London's King's College campus is calling for a protest at this point.
Dele is not a coward. Dele stands by his convictions. Dele is a man of convictions. And the truth is, he had seen all of this that will happen to him. And as he said it in the press conference, everything is panning out. Yeah. For defamation, he's now being held in custody till the 10th of December, after he was taken away. It's not even the police division in Lagos. It's all the way from Ekiti. The police division from Ekiti that came to take him, they're supposed to be under the zone of that in Lagos. He had gone to write his own statement side of an earlier petition. They didn't inform him. All of a sudden, they came and they took him away. They went to his office, slapped his cleaner that worked in that office. There's an interview. And they took this man away. Took him all the way to Ekiti. All for what? Defamation. Defamation. If you feel defamed, you should be able to report to the court. Not taking the man away in this style. You can see guns assaulting him. Assaulting people that work with him. And we say we have a country. Like Dele said, sometimes we should pretend that we have a country. Mm-hmm. Let's pretend for a bit that rule of law even works in this country. Let's pretend that the rights of people are respected. Because we all pretend. Also, I saw a paper released yesterday, the deposition of Mr. Afe Babalola, where he wrote that part of his demand was that he wanted the book to be taken out of circulation. Yeah. So maybe us that we are showing the book now, Doctor, but you are the expert in defamation law. So maybe us that we are showing pictures of the book now, they will say we should not show it again.
Until the court decides.
Or the court decides.
There's a bookshop that stocks the book, and they have been targeted. So the book, it's important to mention.
But as the court decided. No.
The court hasn't decided.
As the court decided. So these are part of the things we keep saying.
Okay.
But see, and for those, I want to talk about them. For those that Dele said we're going to collect all sorts of things to be able to twist narrative in the media. Have a conscience. You remember what Nimola said? First they came for the Jews, they came for the Gentiles, they came for other people. But he kept on pushing back. When they came for him, there was nobody to speak for him. It is Dele today, you don't know who it will happen to.
All right, Dr. Abati, in that video we heard Dele Farotimi saying that, there appears to be some sort of fraudulent means by saying that, court orders would be served to him. So basically claiming that he never received anything before his arrest.
Okay, we discussed this matter yesterday before additional facts came out. And what we said yesterday was that, yes, defamation is an offense. It's a felony under sections 373, 375 of the Criminal Code. We also condemned the manner in which the police invaded his office and turned the place upside down, that they didn't need all of that drama. And we also made the point that the fact that anybody is an activist or has access to any medium of mass communication does not give you the right to defame other people, because other people have the right to defend their reputation. And that's the second leg of it that I would like to add this morning. As follows. Dele Farotimi has already gone to the court in Lagos, I think Federal High Court, led by my former teacher and supervisor at Lagos State University, Professor Imiri, to insist on the enforcement of his fundamental human rights. Now, when you read the matter submitted, that he was harassed, assaulted, abducted, treated without dignity, and under the laws, 33, 34, 45, 41, under the 1999 Constitution, he's entitled to be treated with dignity, whatever the offense may be. So it's for the court to say that he has been poorly treated, because a person is considered innocent until adjudged guilty. So you have a fundamental human rights enforcement case already before the court. And he also has the right to stand up for himself. You say he's been remanded in prison till December 10, where that's the prerogative of the court. And the court says it is on December 10 that it will listen to the plea for bail. It's a bailable offense anyway, but we'll see how the court processes that. Now, the second part of it is the part that is not part of the conversation. That is the right of Chief Afe Babalola. Chief Afe Babalola is saying that in this book, Democracy and the criminal justice system in Nigeria, the violation of the criminal justice system, that from the prefatory pages, page 9, page 10 thereof, and in subsequent pages, all between pages 41 and 84, that he was defamed, that he was accused of corrupting the judicial system, of compromising the Supreme Court of Nigeria, of using under-the-table tactics to, procure judgment in a land matter between the Eletu family and another family, Ojomu family, and in which Dele Farotimi was counsel to one of the affected estates in this part of Lagos. Now, there was variation of judgment, there was involvement of the Lagos state government, and all of that matter. So, Dele Farotimi himself as counsel was an interested party. And Chief Afe Babalola is saying that he has been defamed. He has been called an indolent lawyer. He has been called an intellectually incapable person. All kinds of adjectives. You can read the submission. And he says that he has been defamed to the extent that he has been at the bar for 6 decades as head of Emmanuel Chambers, that has produced 14 SANs, 300 lawyers, and that in addition, he has been pro-chancellor and chairman of the Council of the University of Lagos. He's also founder of ABUAD, Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti, and he's a man of strong standing in society who has been honored, OFR, CON, both at home and honored also abroad. Right. And to this extent, he thinks that in that book, he has been defamed. What is his prayer? His prayer is that the book should be withdrawn from circulation. Now, Dele Farotimi, in his own submission, says he has a right under Section 39. The residual point, if I may just summarize, is that, look, Section 39, if you place it against Sections 373 and 375 of the Criminal Code, and you do a community reading, the implication, what it means in terms of community reading, is that under no circumstance can you defame anybody. If A says this is what it is, his own right begins where yours stops. However, as I said yesterday in defamation, you have several defenses: truth, absolute privilege, statute of limitations. But these are issues, fairness, fair comment. Yeah. These are issues that the court will decide. Right. But it's important that, we give the two sides of it and not take sides.
Thanks for that balance, Dr. Abati. We will follow up on the story.
Video náà ni ẹ ṣe wò tán yẹn. Kí lẹ rí sọ lé? Kí ni nǹkan tó ń sọ kúlúkúlú lọ́kàn yín lórí pẹ̀lú gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ yìí lẹ́nu àwọn oníròyìn yìí? Àti ilé tẹ́ gbọ́ lẹ́nu bàbá wa Dele Farotimi. Kí lẹ rí sọ sí? Ẹ fi sábẹ́ comment section. Gbogbo àwọn èèyàn tó bá wọlé kí wọ́n lè rí ẹ̀dùn ọkàn yín lórí ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí. Ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́.